Big red button.
Big red
Okay.
button. Yeah, because at my university, big blue button is favorite.
Not right. Whee! Hooray! Hooray, hooray! So we missed Halloween, but we can do it today. We can pretend it's Halloween because you can't really know. Yeah. Because unless they tell you what day it is, you don't really know. So if you're listening to a recording or if you're watching it, how do you know if it's the 31st of October or the 1st of November, unless they tell you? So we can just pretend that it's Halloween. And it was a really weird, it is a really weird day because you have full moon on that evening, Halloween, and you have Mars being all funny, kind of in a strange, powerful conjections or whatever they call it. And you have a star exploding for no reason, and a cloud of cosmic dust spinning onto the solar system, and they say it's going to come to us in about a week.
Okay.
Very interesting.
Okay.
Not to mention the general madness.
Yeah, maybe that explains it. Yeah.
Because it does. Or at least it comes as a part of it. So it's all connected. Obviously, it's all connected. All the big disturbance in the field, the big changes. So we have it reflected on many levels of reality, starting with the madness we may observe, with weather, with like cosmic weather, planets, everything. Okay, so anyway, let's teleport. Let's use a time machine. Right, now it's Halloween. We have a Halloween poem. Mr. Maclean's Jack-o'-lantern by David McCord. Well,
McCord.
Yeah, well, I read the article but it says that he's not really Scottish, he's American. So apparently he says Mr. Macklin, although it is not correct at all. You don't say Mac, you say Maclean, like McCord. Okay. But the rhythm of the poem suggests it's Macklin.
Macklin, okay. I knew an actor, not personally, but his name was McNee, with basically the first part was spelled like Maclean's here, and he insisted we called Macney. I don't know why.
Well, I don't know why, but Mac is not supposed to be stressed. Mac is like son.
Son meaning a fellow, some fellow.
Someone's son of the family.
Okay.
Okay, well anyway, and that little article says that this guy David McCord is most famous for his poetry for children, but unfortunately I didn't have time to check it out, but this one is really good. I don't know if it's for children or not, maybe not really, but let's read it. Mr. Maclean's Jack-o'-lantern. Mr. Maclean takes his knife and carves the yellow pumpkin face. 3 holes bring eyes and nose to life. The mouth has 13 teeth in place. Then Mr. Maclean, just for fun, transfers the corncob pipe from his right mouth to Jack's, and everyone dies laughing. Oh, what fun it is! Till Mr. Macklin draws the shade and lights the candle in Jack's skull. And then all the inside dark is made as spooky and as horrible as Halloween. And creepy crawl the shadows on the tool house floor, with Jack's face dancing on the wall. Oh, Mr. Macklin, where's the door? Ah, creepy. Creepy. Right. Your comments?
Nice. It's again, as is often the case with some poems that might have been written for children, they are appreciated both by children and by grown-ups, at least grown-ups with my IQ level, who sort of find immense joy in reading them, and this is something nice, and well, it is. I don't know whether it has layers and layers and layers of meaning. Probably has. But the upper layer is obvious and nice, full of humor, full of some sort of humor that responds to the rhythm, because on several occasions the rhythm is also funny, where it breaks somewhere in the middle, and again, for someone who doesn't have much contact with children, I can again easily imagine children enjoying this poem, children reciting this poem, and children basically watching someone doing what Macklin does in the poem, or the children just not just observing, but being actively involved in that. So that's the thing, and somehow I even feel my students missed something, because unlike other teachers, I never said anything about Halloween, probably because I'm just a bit too conservative for this. New invention, yes.
Conservative.
It's a new, it's a new invention. It's been around for, a month, a year, maybe 2 years, maybe 2 years.
You mean in Russia, or in general?
Well, in general, because no one told me about it when I was something like 5 years old. So I assumed that it never existed.
Yeah,
it's a recent invention.
Russian tradition.
It's not a Russian tradition.
Yeah, as for Russia, it is a very recent invention.
I think it's much more recent than the internet.
Yeah, it is. But all in all, any culture which is like agricultural culture will have one or another holiday marking the end of the harvest.
Yeah.
And the beginning of winter.
Yeah.
So you probably have something like that in Russia.
Yeah, and of course the very fact that the new year, according to several traditions existent in Russia, can also start, let's say, on the 1st of September, which is...
well, it's like more like the beginning of
harvest again. But this is sort of like, we can celebrate the beginning. Mm-hmm. We can celebrate when it's all over, and
but then you have the fruit.
Yeah.
You can see you have the fruit, and you're ready to enter the dark season.
Yeah. I know that some people, including someone who is not as dogmatic as I am, say they don't like Halloween because of some of the dark undertones. What do you say to them?
What I say to them, Halloween, Hallow is like holy and Eve
Yes.
is like evening.
Yes.
So what it really is, it's more like the night before Christmas in Russian tradition. It's the last evening before a big and bright holiday, and that's the evening when all the dark forces are at their peak, have the most power. Same as in many traditions, well, Christian traditions, like I guess in Russia it's true, the night before Christmas is really spooky. Yeah. So the night before Christmas in Russia is the same as the night before All Hallows Eve in like Europe. And again, the idea is not to bring evil energies, is not to celebrate the dark side, although you can do it, you can celebrate the dark side. We love the dark side. They have biscuits. Yeah, they do. So when people dress up, they do these scary things, it's not to be dark, it's to scare the darkness away. And so you have it in many traditions, be more scary than the scary things, so they run away. I think you did exactly the same in Russia, didn't you?
Scare till the scare.
Yeah, wasn't it like the Christmas times, before Christmas, when people dressed up like horrible monsters, were walking around and singing songs and basically doing trick-or-treat? I think it's exactly the same, it's just a slightly different time of year, but the idea is the same. So it's not a dark holiday, it's a very bright holiday. Although again, if you're a Christian, then you can say, that's all silly, I don't need to dress up like a monkey to scare the evil spirits away. All I need is to pray.
Which is true.
Which is true, because that's all you need, a bit of prayer, and then God will save you from any evil spirits. So that's what you can tell those people, that yeah, they're right from the Christian point of view, in the sense that it's not necessary if you're a Christian. You have your weapon, which is the prayer. But again, there's nothing bad in it as such, because you're not celebrating being evil, you celebrate being happy. You just try to protect yourself the way you can. Anyway, so here, okay, one of the most iconic images of Halloween is obviously a pumpkin.
Yes.
That's a pumpkin, people. If you don't believe it, then there's something wrong with your eyes. That's a pumpkin. Why? It's big, it's round, it's very bright, very
Both
happy.
outside and inside.
Outside and inside, and it's like a head.
Oh.
It's like a head. It's like a head. So
Without
obviously,
someone's body
without
attached
the
to it.
body, yeah, which is spooky. Like a skull. Like he mentioned it here in the poem.
He mentions it, yeah.
He says it's a skull. So how do we spend our time intellectually? That is how. Balancing is a very important practice. Yeah. Okay. So
Is it okay if I breathe?
yeah. So that was a random particle from space hitting it. That happens. That happens. Right. So when we talk about Halloween, then we talk about a jack-o'-lantern. We talk about pumpkins, and again, it's like the spirit of the harvest, in a way. And of course, as it's meant to be spooky, it can also represent death. We're not surprised, no?
Yeah. Maybe that's because we are sort of trying to make fun of something that really scares us.
Yeah, and that's the idea of Halloween.
Yeah.
Maybe that's right. So anyway, this poem is concentrated on that image, how it comes to life or to death, depending on how you look at it. That's better. Right. So we have someone called Mr. Macklin.
Which is probably a typical Scottish name, so not a fancy name.
So if you have someone called Mr. Macklin, how do you imagine him in this poem? Who is he? What kind of a person?
Well, if I only have Mr. Macklin, in the beginning I imagine him as being Scottish, but because I've now read the entire poem, I see that he's the person who has got a knife and who can use it, and obviously he can use all other tools that some people can't, because he's got his sort of, it's all happening in the workshop or whatever the word, tool house, that's the word.
Close the door.
Oh, Mr. Macklin, where's the door?
Mr. Macklin, where's the door? Mr. Macklin, close the door. Maybe they are Scottish.
They certainly are.
Mr. Macklin, close the door. Close the door. Buster. Newt.
And in fact, what is easy to imagine is Mr. Macklin's accent, although it seems he doesn't say a word in the poem. Again, I don't know.
I imagine he's American because they mentioned the corncob pipe. When you think about corn, then you don't really think about Scotland, do you?
I don't know. They don't grow corn in Scotland, I think. I'm not sure I know. I think I've seen corn once or twice, but...
Well, really, again, it's a part of
rural landscapes.
more like a cultural image of an American farmer. So
An
corn
American farmer.
and the corn pipe.
Corn pipe.
Yeah.
Mr.
Well, what I really suspect is that Mr. Macklin here is another name for God. We have someone, I know I have crazy theories, but it's not really me, it's economic. Yeah! Time to celebrate. Right, so that's what the economic is saying. There is someone who creates something really big, and he has a name, Mr. Macklin or Macklin, and with the big letters, Mr. McLean. And then we have everyone. So we have Mr. McLean as a figure, and everyone as opposed to the one and only Mr. McLean.
Yeah, everyone and everything, because he seems to, at least here, be all-powerful.
Yeah, so what I really suspect is Mr. McLean as either a god or godlike figure in this reality of that text. Another name for God is Mr. McLean. And again, what would it tell us? If we suppose that Mr. McLean is another name for God, then how do you imagine God in this poem? Because God is someone who creates death, who calls you into his workshop and shows you something, and among other things creates death, let's say. So if Mr. McLean is God, then what kind of a person is God, if you can say that God is a person?
But does he create death? He brings this and that to life. So maybe he's also the one who creates life.
Yeah, he is.
And and in that case, he creates something that no one else can create. It seems that we are pretty much efficient at creating things, all sorts of things, at least all sorts of bright colors covering the things. But here, I think he doesn't use all that fancy equipment to create something. He uses basic tools, and what emerges is something that is brought to life. But another important feature of the poem and the central person in the poem is that he's got a sense of humor.
Yeah. That's right. So God is like a farmer or like someone who creates with hands, like a master in a workshop. He has a sense of humor. He does it just for fun. He has words just for fun. His wry mouth. He has a wry mouth. So he has a sense of humor, but a kind of dry sense of humor, which not everybody can understand.
And again, what makes them laugh initially, and we don't know who they are, but we might imagine who they are, scares them after the work he's doing is complete.
Because that is what really often happens to us. We play with something and we find it funny. We don't take it seriously because we have no idea. Only Mr. McLean knows. But we think it's a trick. We think it's not real. We think it's not here. And when it really manifests itself, we are not ready as a result. Because we didn't treat it the right way from the start. We thought it was a trick, something to amuse us. Again. Happens a lot. When we play with something dangerous, we have no idea it's dangerous, and so we're just happy. There was a lovely little video I've seen with a cat, a kitten. A kitten was asleep on a chair, and the snake came to it. And the kitten was asleep and was really like happy. And when the snake came, he thought it was something nice, so he was like, And then he woke up and he saw the snake and was, oh, honey, and ran away. So that's something what happens. We are half asleep and there's a snake coming to us and we think it's just someone coming to make us feel better, but the second we open our eyes, we see it's really a snake. And really, if you go to YouTube and you put something like a cat snake or kitten snake, you'll see a whole big list of horrible videos. I don't know why people post it, but like, oh look, there's a snake eating a cat. Oh, there's a snake killed the cat and eats it. Oh, there's a dead kitten eaten by a snake. I don't know why people post it, but yeah.
It is true, because the snake is small thing compared to.
Well, there are snakes and snakes to start with. Yeah, there are big snakes which can easily eat a whole cat. Then again, a snake doesn't have to eat the whole cat at once. Oh, they hunt for kittens too.
Yeah,
so that happens a lot.
They can prolong the pleasure of eating someone by.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's really hard not
But
to
is
take
it
sides.
so it's something that can really happen. I never thought of it, because I thought
Well,
if a snake meets a cat, or if a cat meets a snake, then it's all too bad for a snake. So it seems that it's all too bad for a
Not
cat.
necessarily. Not necessarily, but snakes eat cats, and in like maybe not in
Cats eat
Britain,
cats.
maybe not
Cats
in
eat
Russia. Yeah, Alice. Maybe not in Russia, maybe not in Britain, but in, I don't know, like warmer places like maybe Thailand or Brazil, I don't know really. In hot places where you have big hot snakes who are really hungry all the time. Now that happens a lot, and yeah, it's really hard not to take sides when you say a horrible snake eating a poor fluffy kitten. Because our mammal heart can't really stand it. But again, you can look at it from a more shamanic point of view, because you can take the cat's side, which is what usually happens. You can take the snake side, because it's not for fun, it's for food. Yeah. The snake doesn't
It's
eat
a
the
snake's
cat.
job, okay.
It's a snake's job. Or you can do it shamanically, you can just observe it, take it in, see what happens. It's hard not to take sides. So here again
Well,
we
observe
have
it is
kind
better
of
than
have-
absorbing
yeah.
a cat.
So anyway, here again we have
Yes, let's restart it. Yes.
yeah. But again you have videos where the cat defeats the snake,
I like
fights back. So anyway, it's hard not to take sides. And here again we have sides. We have Mr. Macklin and his invention, and we have everyone else. So let's have a look at it. Mr. Macklin takes his knife.
That's scary.
That's scary because we have a knife.
And someone who does not necessarily mean good.
Someone we know, well, we know about him because he is in the title. He's Jack O'Lantern. Mr. Macklin takes his knife, but already, like you said, there's someone who has a knife who knows how to use it. So I guess we have an image of someone at least experienced, maybe wise, experienced, craftsy, and someone who is eager to share it with other people, because he doesn't just carry it for himself, he shows it to other people.
Does it tell us something about his age? Because, well, an experienced person in our understanding today is probably an elderly man or woman, but again, I think in more sort of rural areas of the United States of America.
Well, again, you have the image. He has a corn pipe, he has a wry mouth, so he has like a big baggage of experience.
Yeah. Although he might, again, you might have lots of experience and still be...
yeah, it doesn't say, but what I'm talking is the general idea, the elements you use to create it. So he might be a young person, but we don't feel that way from that point. So he is, from the first line, is connected with a knife.
Yeah.
So again, a knife can be something to help you, something, just a tool, a useful tool, or it can be really dangerous for you, for other people. So a knife is a very good image. Mr. Macklin takes his knife, and you don't know how he's going to use it. Oh, and carves a yellow pumpkin face. Ah, okay, it's just carving the face on a pumpkin.
And again, it's carving something is what sculptors do, and he emerges in the first line. It's just a, well, I would say typical name. In line 2, he stops being very typical because he's the one who does a sculptor's job, and that is both huge responsibility and again some sort of experience or skills necessary to be able to do that. But I would say that the pressure that was built in line 1 is sort of dispersed by line 2, because now we know, okay, he's not going to kill someone with his knife. He's not going to destroy things. Instead, he's going to create something new out of something ordinary. And again, to many of us not raised in the Halloween tradition, pumpkin is just a pumpkin. It's just something we eat from time to time, and again, at least that was the case in my family, where you normally have it as food in small bits instead of seeing it as in its huge entirety. So here it's quite different. He sort of destroys something about the pumpkin, because if you carve something, you sort of...
But then again, if you think about a sculptor and a block of marble, that's what they say, you just get rid of the extra bits. Maybe that's the thing, because the pumpkin is really a jack waiting to be released. Well, I think, again, it's a very good image about power. Because power is like a knife. You can use it to create something cool, or you can hurt yourself or someone else if you're not careful.
And that might be because I'm too much concentrating on teaching. It might be a matter for a teacher.
Does it make you take a big knife and carve a face or two? So we have a proximity of knife and face at the end of line. So that's a connection.
But it's sort of, if you see the potential, then it's not just a pumpkin. It's someone's face, and a very bright one. If you are a teacher who sort of who's able, again, who has some experience and who's able to look behind the mask, then you might see that a very naughty, noisy, knowing nothing student might again be a very bright one. as bright as a pumpkin. So again, you can create, if you're able, you can sort of create something unexpected of something dull and uninspiring. If you don't know how to operate the knife, you destroy it, and again, that's what bad teachers do. That's probably, it's a good idea never to teach again, because you never know whether it's going to stand the pressure.
Yeah. Probably not. Yeah.
Probably needs an extra one.
We have bright light, bright color right in the beginning.
Yes.
So we have like good expectations about the poem. So it's going to be bright. We have yellow pumpkin. Okay, we like yellow. Yellow makes us happy.
Yeah. The color of sunshine.
Yeah.
One thing.
Although if you think about the face, and the yellow face is not necessarily a good sign. Yeah. But still, yeah, we have the color yellow, we have pumpkin, we have celebration, we have light. 3 holes bring eyes and nose to life. The mouth has 13 teeth in place. So why do you have these numbers? Why is it so important?
On the one hand, it's quite easy. It only takes 3 holes to bring a pumpkin to life, but also 3 is, as someone would say, a magic number, and 13 is also a magic number. 3 is probably good, and again I'm not sure I remember all that or ancient Greek stuff about number 3, but again in the Christian tradition Trinity is obviously important, and also whereas 13 usually has bad connotations. It often symbolizes something unlucky, something that threatens.
Which again has an interesting story behind
and
it.
It's like teeth. So teeth, again, if you imagine a snake eating someone, do snakes have teeth?
Oh, they do.
Okay.
They don't necessarily use them to eat because they swallow, but they use it for biting.
Oh. Someone is biting. I'll have to at least switch it off. If I can find it. Oh, it's switched off automatically.
Wow.
Okay, that's good. How do I? Maybe I'll just press this button and no more connection to the outside world.
That's what it's about, creation and destruction, which go hand in hand. Yeah, so 3 holes bring eyes and nose to life. So we have like space, we have movement of air.
Yes.
Eyes, nose, holes, something can go through. The mouth has 13 teeth in place. If anyone tried to carve a pumpkin, then 13 teeth does require being really clever about it. Well, it's not that easy. It's not as easy as it seems to be. So you need to have a really good knife. You have to have a really steady hand.
And you have to be able to count.
Yeah.
Which is, not an inborn talent, so to speak.
So 13 has an interesting story behind it. So you may say the 13 signs of the zodiac, which then became 12 signs of the zodiac.
Were they 30?
There were 13
Okay.
originally, but the last one was just about there. So they decided, no, it's too much. Let's not really count it. Then you have the magic circles. Again, it's a really ancient tradition. You have 12 people and one who is the head of the circle. Yeah, it can be 12 witches and one man at the head of the circle, or it can be just 12 people and one boss. Or again, if you think about the Bible, so where do you think they got the idea of the 12 disciples and Jesus? 13 people altogether. So it was a really old tradition, number 13, and we still have it. It's amazing. It's really, really amazing if you think about it. All that long way, I mean, it was like before Christ. Really ancient things. And we still have it around. How can we? How is it still around? Coming from, I don't know, Phoenicia or Egypt or somewhere. Still here. And we have lots of things still here that come from all these ancient traditions. That's crazy. That's amazing. So 13 teeth. And then again, when you speak mouth, 13 teeth. Very funny line to speak. Has 13 teeth in place. So yeah, it's biting. It's biting. It has an awful lot of teeth. Right, so now we can see it. We created. First it's just a yellow pumpkin. We don't see it. We say face, but we don't see it. Just a yellow pumpkin. Then it starts appearing. First we have eyes, holes or eyes, so they look at us. Then there's a nose. Has a nose. Then there's a nose, so it starts breathing. If it starts breathing, then it's alive. It already has the potential coming to life. Then we have the mouth with 13 teeth. Again, like maybe like the defining future. What is it for? It's for biting. Then Mr. Macklin, just for fun, transfers the corncob pipe from his right mouth to Jack's. Some deep magic in here. What's going on?
Lots of fun.
Yeah. So first of all, we see it just for fun. We still feel very light about the because we have yellow, we have just for fun. He's not serious, he's not trying to frighten anyone. He's just having a good time. Just for fun. Transfers the corncob pipe from his right mouth to Jack's. What's going on here? Why do we need that bit?
If you do that, you transfer some of your own qualities, something that defines you to Jack.
Yeah. And why is it a pipe and not something else? Maybe because it's connected with breath.
Yeah.
Maybe like spirit breath. So if he puts his pipe to Jack, it's like breathing life into that pumpkin.
Yeah. And pipes, of course, in the mouths of the smokers become an integral part of themselves. So,
Yeah, and that's a corncob pipe. Why do we need again to say it's not just a pipe, but a pipe which is made of a piece of a corn?
Because again, it is something rustic. It was most likely made by Mr. Macklin himself, and again, there is all that thing that is happening in the poem is not about a group of well-dressed kids looking at
intellectual
pleasures. Yeah, it's something pretty simple, and again, it's probably if you want to do an exercise in Halloween today, you can go to the shop and buy ready-made pumpkins with eyes and all that.
If you want to make an exercise in Halloween today, you can go to the shop and try to buy something.
Yeah, but here everything's been done by their own hands, and again they find fun, they discover funny things that in sort of the ordinary landscape. They are not, they're not bored to death by being able to reach their hand and grab something that costs lots of money and that brings pleasure till you get tired of it and then you buy something else. So they sort of create and they find pleasure in those simple, as you say, simple, what was?
Violets.
Yes, in simple dreams.
Yeah. So, because people like to think that, death is something mysterious, something metaphysical, something far away. Here, no, it's ordinary. It's not ordinary, it's creepy, it's powerful, but it's not for philosophers, it's for everyone to see, to feel. And again, if we suppose that Macklin is God, or a godlike figure here, then again, God is not some bearded chap on a cloud. God is here, he is like you. He is the same as you, but a bit different. He is close to you, and you're in his workshop. Transfers. So we have the word transfer. Transfer. Not just the pipe, but again a bit of his power from his wry mouth. And we can see, finally, at least we can see his mouth, his wry mouth. So kind of, we can see his face, because if he has a wry mouth, then we can see his wry face as well. So that's a moment where we don't really see him, because you can't really see God, but you can glimpse him. So Jack's, and that's, as he transfers it, as he brings life into it, the pumpkin becomes Jack, gets a name, gets its identity. It's not a pumpkin anymore now, it's Jack. That's the moment of transition, of the change. And what happens when Jack appears? Everyone dies laughing. It doesn't matter if laughing or not, everyone dies. So again, it's like the middle of the poem, literally somewhere in the middle of the line, we have that strange break, little pause. So again, same as with butterflies last time. If you read everyone dies laughing, and if you read it casually, then like, everybody was having so much fun, and they just died laughing, ha ha ha. But if you read it from more like a shamanic point of view, you see, everyone dies.
What fun it is.
What fun it is, yeah, dies laughing, so death comes here, but it's not a problem. And then again, we don't understand what is coming for us. We think it's something light and funny when it's about to kill us. And really, it might be creepy, but it really happens a lot, really a lot.
Yeah.
And then people will be very sorry sometimes, but it will be too late.
But sometimes it's also because as some bad mannered writers like reminding us sometimes, and quite often, death is silly, and
well, here it's not silly.
Here it isn't.
It's light.
It's light, and
it's very serious. It's serious. It's powerful, but at the moment when it appears, no one understands what it is. So they're laughing at it. But at the same time, they die. They don't know. They don't notice, but they're already dead. Is the camera dead? You think?
7 more minutes. Maybe it's okay if we spend 7 more minutes.
Okay. Right. Everyone. Who is everyone? Just everyone in the world? As death is created, everyone is dead, even if we don't know about it yet. But from God's perspective, we are alive and we are dead, because God can perceive our whole life in totality, from birth to death, to after death, to before birth. Yeah, so from God's point of view, we are already dead. And all alive. It's the same as with Jesus and the tree. Yeah, there was a dry tree, and he's like, you bad tree. Because from Jesus' point of view, the tree is dry and is fruitful, is dead, is alive, is a tiny sprout, is an old, whatever is left from it, stub. Yeah, all at the same time. And as Jesus comes into the picture in that story, the tree has the choice which side to manifest, because from Jesus' perspective, it all happens at once. Yeah? But the tree decides to manifest its dead side. And so Jesus said, you're a bad tree, you're a stupid tree, don't do that. Yeah? All the same is here. Everyone that is laughing. We are laughing and we are dead, and it's all at the same time. And maybe that's the magic of Halloween, because we are dead and we are laughing and we die laughing. Laughter is a serious thing. Laughter is, nobody knows what laughter is. I mean, you can explain it physically, like your body shakes and you make strange sounds. The same as crying. Yeah, there's a little difference between crying and laughing. Oh, so funny. Yeah. So crying and laughing are basically the same. And no one knows how it comes to be and or what it's supposed to be. Some kind of a change in our flow. So again, if you look at culture, at traditions, then laughter had always been a shamanic feature. You have ritual laughing, ritual crying, ritual laughter. So maybe again that is what happens here, like a shamanic thing. When you create death, you meet it and you die laughing, and then you get reborn. Everyone dies laughing. Because they die, but then they do something else. Or maybe. Your comments? The camera's comments?
Yeah.
Maybe we should pause it, I'll get more tea.
Yeah, that'll a good idea.
I'll continue.
Continue.
So that's my vitamin soup.
Miso.
What do I call it? Phew! Where were we? Oh yeah, everyone died.
Yeah.
Oh, what fun it is! So we repeat it just for fun, or what fun it is! And again, it can be really creepy. Well, then again, you may think about Tim Burton, who loves dark stuff, who can make it really bright and interesting and funny. His Nightmare Before Christmas, which is about Halloween. Highly recommended. Tim Burton. So sometimes he's just a bit crazy, but usually his stuff is really good. Really good. Oh, what fun it is! So again, maybe, as everyone dies laughing, oh, what fun it is! Maybe we're crying in horror, but we can't admit that we are frightened. So say, oh, what fun it is! What fun it is! Yeah, what fun it is! Or maybe we really don't understand it. We don't notice what is happening to us because we are mesmerized, hypnotized by the show till So Mr. Macklin draws the shade. What did he do? What's draw the shade? Yeah, like draw curtains,
Yes,
but you
yes.
have the word shade, which reminds us of shadows.
Yes.
So on one hand he does something simple, he just draws the blinds or the curtains to make the place dark. Again, he calls in the shadows. So what was a game is now real. It draws the shade, and again, it's Mr. Macklin who has the power to do it, which again makes us think that he's a very powerful figure. He draws, he does all of that, and it does not affect him, it affects everyone else. He doesn't die laughing, he observes it. What fun it is till Mr. Macklin draws the shade, or also like draw the line, he draws the shade. And the lights, the candle in Jack's skull. So he brings darkness and he brings light. It's the same person. So again, he is powerful because he is in balance. He has those elements, darkness and light, in his power. Lights a candle in Jack's skull. You see how it comes to be. So first it's a yellow pumpkin, then it's Jack, then it's Jack's skull. So it manifests, it comes through to this reality, it transforms.
And usually when we light a candle, under normal circumstances, it's done to bring some light to the room. And people also light candles in churches. And again, this symbolizes something quite different, maybe quite different from what Mr. Macklin does here. And yet, as you say, the candle in the picture that is drawn here is there's light, but somehow it's dark. And again, there's this Christian, this famous Christian thing about the light that's how do they say that? The light that is visible. I can't remember the exact words. The light is
through because we have it's a skull.
Yeah, in the dark. So it comes through. Yeah.
So again,
Which
in the
Christianity
beginning it
is
was just a pumpkin. Now it's a skull. It doesn't say lights a candle in the pumpkin. In Jack's skull. Yeah, so and what can it be? The light inside the skull? Maybe like intelligence. So we have spirit, like the pipe, breath transferred, and now we have intelligence because someone can be alive without being conscious, I guess. Yeah. So just a force, let's say. Maybe forces are conscious, I don't know.
Yeah.
But here we make it clear that not only it's alive, but also it has its own intelligence now. It has a light in its skull.
It isn't a skull a symbol of knowledge and power. I mean, if you remember all those medieval scientists who studied skulls and skeletons and studied something that was really scary for the rest of us. And again, even today, I think there's a huge difference between someone who can look at the skull and see something inside it, something that is only visible to him or to her, and the rest of us who
you mean
look teachers, doctors, all those, yeah. Well, because
I think it's quite simple because when you talk about skull, it's like, oh, scary, creepy. A head without a body, a skull without a face. A skull like a symbol of death, very obviously.
Yeah.
I think.
But in school, I remember at my school we had
Your skull?
Well, at my school we had a skull attached to a skeleton, and it was usually exhibited some biology classes, and to everybody's again everybody died laughing, and no one looked scared. And the good thing about it was that it had its own name, and it was sort of Vaskia name, which is probably similar to Jack here. And again, you might say it was just great fun. You might say it was because we were scared, but we didn't want to demonstrate it, to show it to outsiders, and that's why the skeleton name. And it was a real thing. It was a real thing. It wasn't just a plastic thing. It was somebody was alive before being transferred.
Yeah, again, because we don't understand it. We don't feel. We poke at it and it does nothing. We poke at it again more, and again it does nothing. So we get brave because it doesn't reply. So we can we think we have power over it. And how do we show our power? Yeah. By what? By making it stupid, silly. Yeah, because if you make someone look stupid and they can't reply, they don't reply, then it can really mean a few things. It may mean that they don't care about you at all and what you do to them. Or it may mean that they have no power to reply. And of course, it's more pleasant for the ego to think that we are so powerful we can make them feel stupid and they can do nothing in return. So that's a way of showing power.
Yeah, so we can make death look stupid and think that it has no power over us, which is not true.
Which is not true, because it's waiting patiently, it doesn't care. So we poke at it, we do things, and it doesn't reply because it doesn't care, it's too big to be bothered. But when it wakes up, then there's no stopping it, and that's what we forget. So we make fun of it to show that we are so powerful, but really, now we have it all coming to the light. Again, like that animation series, Death Note, there was the verb, gods of death, and one of them came to the human reality because he was really bored. He dropped his Death Note, which is like a note that if you write someone's name into it, this person will die. So he dropped it into our world to see what happens, and there was one young man who found that note and started using it. He thought it was for the greatest good because he was writing the names of criminals in it. Criminals who weren't punished because no one could prove it in the court. But everyone knew they were guilty. So he thought it was for good. But anyway, he was doing it, and if you touch that death note, then you can see the god who had it, to whom it belongs. And that god followed that guy to see what happens. And the guy treated him really, really lightly. Like, you're a silly fool. Although that god, he warned him. So if you use the death note, then in the end I'll come to you and I'll take you. Sooner or later, I don't care, I'm God. I'm a god, so time means nothing to me. Well, that guy was so self-assured, so really arrogant, maybe. He never paid attention. So the last episode, when he is discovered and defeated, and all his power is taken from him, and he's all alone because he betrayed everyone who loved him. He just did it to save himself, but it never worked. So he walks alone in the street, and he is hurt because he was trying to escape and they fired at him. And no one comes to him, and only that god who is no longer funny. Who is no longer funny. He said, I told you I would come to you sooner or later. Now that's the moment. Because these guys, they don't care. They don't care if they have to wait a bit, because time means nothing to him. And you can make all fun you like of them, they will bear it. Or they don't care. And you feel big and important, like here. And then the moment comes and they show their true face. I don't know, today it's a very popular subject, the demons and demonizing, and maybe it's like returning to the romanticism, something where demons are kind of made romantic figures, maybe. But there's another animated series, I didn't watch them, just kind of had an idea, where there's a boy and he has a demon serving him. And again, the boy is really, really self-assured, and he bosses the demon and humiliates him. The demon doesn't care because he knows that in the end he will have the boy's soul forever, so it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. So the same here, you may die laughing, you can make all fun you like of these things. But then the shades are drawn and the skull becomes alive, there's light inside it. it's not a pumpkin anymore. Then all the inside dark is made as spooky and as horrible as Halloween and creepy crawl as shadows on the tool house floor with Jack's face dancing on the wall. Oh, Mr. Macklin, where's the door? It's too late. It's too late. It's already out. You let it happen. Or maybe you didn't let it happen because it's not up to you to let or not let it happen. But it happens and there's no way out. There's no way back. All the inside dark. So the first part is like light, funny, having fun, and nothing serious, and then suddenly you are in the reality of shadows and darkness and Jack's face dancing on the wall. Not just a pumpkin sitting on a table, but it's free, it's out, it's dancing again, dancing is big, dancing on the wall, and the shadows are alive. A creepy crawl the shadows. Oh, Mr. Macklin, where's the door? But there's no door. It's too late, babes. What do you say? What do you say? I agree. I agree. I agree. Yeah, I agree. That's what students say when they don't know what to say. I agree. I agree. What do you think? I agree. I agree. Phew. Anything else to say here? Mr. McCord, what's your opinion on the subject? From the metaphysical point of view, that is a very deep poem.
It certainly is.
Right. So again, Mr. Macklin is not impressed. Mr. Macklin is like, again, like God. And whatever happens to everyone, not to him. Mr. Macklin, where's the door? All right. Too late to be sorry. What was the song? There was a song like, it's too late to something.
To go to the metro station.
Aye. Right, so shall we finish?
Oh yeah.
That's a interesting day.
Yeah.
Okay, cheers. Slongevar. Slongevar.